To begin this particular training process, I'm going to take some sandpaper on rough watercolor paper and sandpaper at first, then make the drawing that I am going to be painting. And in this particular case, the picture is above you, so above the picture, so you can see what I've drawn. And then I'm going to have pre-mix my three primary colors plus one other blue would be cobalt blue, and then yellow and red and ultramarine blue. And the first thing that I'm going to do is paint on with my squirrel brush a red. It's just a ordinary red that I mixed up with a lot of water to cover the paper. And then I'm putting in some cobalt blue on top of that, and not trying to mix it all together. Let it sort of mingle so you see the red and the blue at the same time. And now I'm making a decision here what I should do. I'll go in with the yellow. Yellow has come off just a little bit too strong for me. So I'm going to put blue on top of that, and then I'll put red on top of that. And you would think that you're going to get a more of a mud color, but in this particular case, it's more of a grayed color, like the colors of winter. All the colors are muted. And so that's what I'm going for, is trying to get that muted color in this simple little watercolor. Also, I'm painting around the roofs with that same color so that we can join the buildings along with the background instead of painting them separately and putting them down like that. Now, I look at this and I think, well, maybe I should go ahead and lighten it. But I'm going to first of all put in my snow and patches, give a design that shows white paper leading up to the buildings, and then down towards the lower right-hand corner. And I mix in a little bit of that grayed color that I have in the background into the cobalt blue, so that we have a grayed color. Now I'm taking the brush and I'm going to go ahead and lighten that color up for the sky, just to get a lighter area right around the building, as you can see. And it tints the paper very nicely. And then what I'll do is then I'll start painting on top of that. One of the things you've got to remember in this process is that you're painting on wet paper now, and so your paint's got to be drier than what they usually are. And so those that I pre-mixed are way too wet, too much water. So I'm going to go and mix some others that'll have more pigment in the mixture than water itself, so that when I lay that down, it's going to stay pretty much where I put it. By sandpapering the paper, that allows it to not, prevents it rather from spreading. And so there I go. I'm going to get just a big shape there. That'll be sort of a shape for distant trees behind this particular shack. Sort of get a little darker right under the eaves, and that gives you sort of a form that you can see what's happening. Also, that's wet, so that it's going to blend just a little bit on the bottom part, and the top part, of course, is against the dry paper, so that stays more of a hard edge. So you've got a hard edge on one side and a soft edge on the other. And now using the side of my brush, not the tip, but my side, I'm pushing the brush down on the paper and kind of looking for an interesting shape that'll go on inside that. And I've got some other distant trees behind, so I'll put that right in there. So as we progress, we're going down the color, down the value scale from light to dark gradually. And so, and it's always wet. We don't dry this paper in between. Now there's a side of the of this house is facing you, and then it's sort of a what do you call it? Foreshortened. That's it right there, and then it's got the roof on the other side. A little bit there. Very, very delicate. Don't hurry. Just leave it developed as it wants to. As you put these marks down, keep looking to see what's happening. Now I'm putting some warm color, really warm color in there. That works nice. And then the snow is still wet, so I'm going to bring some of that brownish color into the snow, and then also some blue color with it, and letting it sort of mix together. All of these colors have complements in them, so that they don't come out pure color. Complements is the colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Blue and brown are opposite, like blue and orange is, but I use brown instead of orange. And so I'm going to be studying this now. I'm going to mix up a little darker color here as I get in a little stiffer, thicker paint. And I'm going to put that down in there, and I'm going to squish the brush around, and always looking for a pattern of lights and darks. And I think I'm going to bring that all the way down to the bottom. I think that's what I should do. Now see, some of that color that's in the snow right now that I'm painting is in the background of the buildings. And that works out well because then it unites the painting. And now this is some dark pine trees that are behind this particular building, as you can see in the picture above. And you don't ever want to copy the picture exactly as you see it. The reason I picked this picture because it has nice shapes of buildings in it, but other than that, that's about it. I'm using it in my own little landscape that I want to place these buildings in, and it becomes mine. I didn't like the placement of the trees in there, so I'm adding other trees to make my own little scene. And as I paint, I'm using the primary colors and also complement colors mixed together, so we can get it as dark as we possibly can. Just using the tip of my brush very carefully. Now I have to balance that over here with another darker color. You don't want to go too much in detail like I'm doing right now. You want to think more of shape itself, simplified shapes, and then put a little detail inside those shapes. And so you see I'm caught myself, and now I'm going to go switch those around and make it into a more of a shape, and then individual leaves of a tree. Okay, good. And just a little bit more clarification right in there, maybe. You've got to look at your painting and study it. As you're studying it, you see things. And then when you see things, you correct things. Or I don't call them corrections, I just add things, and it changes the picture. Okay, now I need a little bit of bright burnt sienna. Now, burnt sienna is not bright. It's a grade orange, but it fits this color scheme very well. And I'm going to put it right down in there instead of having the green go all the way down. I'm going to have that. and then it picks up the brown. Put some brown also in the trees behind that. Now I'm dry brushing a little bit of that brown up into here so that it's the leaves that these trees are cutting across you can see the branches cutting across the roof, and then there's the tree in front. Remodify my edge of my roof there so it's more in perspective and a little bit darker on that side. Every time you put a mark down, no matter if it's the same value, the value darkens on the paper. Always remember that, because sometimes you want to put too dark of a value and then you've got it too dark. So it's just one value on top of another darkens it. Okay, now I'm going to mix up some other thicker color here. So it's less water, more paint. Take some Kleenex, get some of that out of there. And I'm going to play around with this particular edge. You see there, there's the other side of the building. I'll put a little window there, so it indicates that edge. Put a window right up there. That's enough. These little subtle things is maybe is like a person watching it, like looking at grass grow. But I think these little things are what are missing in some demonstrations. They flip through and then they've done so much. And so I want to show that there's a lot of work that goes to a painting that is simple as this. Got to change the angle of that roof right there. That angle right there is the side of the roof that's in shadow. I'll put a little bit of blue there to indicate that. And that's, I think it explains it just a little bit better, not as good as it could be. So now I analyze it and see exactly what I should do. I think I'm going to have a shadow coming across that roof. I think that roof has got to have something breaking that up. And so I'm going to put that in just a little darker. And stopping it there. Now, see, that roof is casting a shadow over the other roof. And of course, then I'm going to do it there too, because it looks so good there. And each one of these. Now, this roof here is facing away from the sun, so it should be darker than the roof that's facing the sun. The sun's coming from the left to the right. And so I'm going to darken that just a little bit. So they're not as, both sides are not as white. There's little subtle things that one does. Now, as I paint these buildings, they merge together. Edges and sides and all that merges together because of well, this is the ending of the painting, and I'm very pleased with it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Really? Yeah, really. Didn't know it's going to be the ending. Shit. Okay, so let's go Alexa, play jazz. Okay, now I'm going to put that into